Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. I'm Trevor Lade, and I am super excited, not just for Lakers Celtics tonight, but because tonight I get to call a game with my good buddy here, Keith Smith. Keith, I sincerely hope our friendship survives this game tonight, but I am super pumped to do the game, the Lakers Celtics game with you tonight.
Man, I would hope it would survive one regular season game.
I hope so.
Game 7 of the finals, maybe
not.
Putting it to the test. But yeah, one regular season game, I would really hope we'd be okay. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun tonight. I'm super excited. I think we did it for a summer league game once. If you remember. But I'm not covering the team that way anymore, so I don't need to take copious notes. So I'm pumped. I'm able to join. I wish it was not at 10 p.m. But I really get to see me pretty punchy and weird because I like an early bedtime. If for anybody who's new and doesn't already know that. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight.
Man, 10 p.m. I'm like just waking up then.
Right?
That's when I'm just starting to really get going. No, so when I don't think it will rival the Kevin Durant 2 a.m. Keith Smith that we got that night, but I'm still excited for this. If you guys want to hang out with us tonight, we'll be on the Lakers Nation YouTube channel as well as the playback feed. You guys can come hang out with us for Lakers Celtics. YouTube.com/Lakers Nation, playback.tv/Lakers Nation. If you guys want to hang out with us tonight, but we've got some news to get into today. A lot of stuff to talk about here, and I guess Keith, we should do it.
I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball, and wherever that may be.
Can you get your joy back here on the court?
Probably not.
Jimmy Butler still looking for that joy. Jimmy got suspended again. 2-game suspension for not showing up for the team flight. And so rather than go on the road trip, they're going to Milwaukee and was it Atlanta? Something like that.
Yeah,
anyway,
that sounds about right.
A 2-game road trip for Miami. Jimmy Butler will not go with them. Keith, I saw the idea out there that maybe this is strategic, that this is Miami just not wanting him around the team.
Second game. Sorry.
What's that?
It's Brooklyn is the second game.
The second game. That makes more sense. Anyway, that maybe this is strategic by Miami, that they just don't want him around the team and him no showing the flight or what information was he given about when the flight was, that type of thing. But the only thing that doesn't make sense for that is if they're just trying to skirt NBA rules and keep him away from the team when they're not technically allowed to do that because he is a superstar, he meets that designation. This costs Jimmy money when you get suspended like this. Now, maybe they could just assume he'll appeal it. They won't fight the appeal much and he'll get the money back and everybody moves along their merry way. But still, Jimmy's suspended regardless of what the motivation is. He won't be with the Miami Heat for the next 2 games. And so I asked the question, have we seen him play his final game for the Miami Heat?
Man, I thought when he was on the last suspension, we didn't seen him play his final game. And to his, and I'm going to say very minimal credit because you are paid to play in a basketball game. You should go out and give real effort. He did that in the last couple of games he's played. Didn't necessarily play well in all those games, but he did play hard and played with reasonable effort. There were videos and pictures of him sitting away from the team. Kind of looked like he was maybe ignoring everybody during timeouts and those kind of things. So that part is what it is. I'm not going to buy into the conspiracy theory stuff that started floating around last night, where it was, the Heat changed their flight and moved it up, and that's why he missed the flight, and nobody told him, because that would be very easy for, I would assume, him to be like, hey, well, you can't suspend me for missing a flight I didn't even know about. So that's that part. I'm not going to buy into all that, but yeah, I think the Heat would rather not have him be around the team. I think it's pretty clear he'd rather not be around the team because he'd rather be on another team at this point. So, yeah, there was a subsequent report that came out today that things have gotten, let me make sure I'm using the right terminology, ugly, bitter, and untenable. Those are the words that were used there that came out from Shams, put that kind of together. So, yeah, I think we're just in a, place where he's not happy, the Heat aren't happy, and it all comes down to finding the right trade for him and for Jimmy Butler. Presumably, that remains a trade to the Phoenix Suns. Whether if that happens or not, or a different team gets involved, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of going a little bit like I kind of thought it might, where it was not magically going to get better, and everybody's going to be like, oh, well, we'll just hang out and play the games, and it'll all be fine. Like this situation is bad.
Now, Mark Bartelstein, Bradley Beal's agent, had a conversation with Dwayne Rankin of the Arizona Republic and said that the stories that we will waive our no trade clause for Denver, Miami, Los Angeles, Milwaukee, those are made up out of thin air. We never said we would do that. He also then went on to say, but we'll approach every opportunity with an open mind and all of it. So he wasn't saying we won't, but he said that has not happened at that point. So I think it's, and by the way, there was also reporting, and we talked about it yesterday, that the Suns have not had that conversation with Bradley Beal yet about, hey, we would like to trade you. Will you, waive the no trade clause for this? So we'll see where that goes. But I mean, it's still a reminder, if they haven't crossed that bridge yet, which I don't know how much I buy, that they like, are you really making moves to get the 3 first-round picks and everything if you haven't had that conversation with Bradley Beal yet? Because he could put a stop to all of this. All he has to do is say, no, I don't want to leave Phoenix. And that's it. It's over. It's all done.
Yeah. 100%. I think we might be in a spot with Bradley Beal where my guess is there's probably contingencies, right? Where let's say he is, hey, I am open to going to, I don't know, I'm going to make it up, but I'm open to going to Denver. But if they trade Nikola Jokic, I'm not.
Right.
And that might be where that kind of is coming from, where it is, all right, I kind of understand why now all of a sudden he's like, I don't really want to go there if it's going to be just me or, me on a much lessened team and those kind of things. I find it hard to believe there is one team and one team only that he wants to play for. But I mean, he was very open about his time in Washington. There were a handful of times that he probably could have been traded. There were times when he could have initiated a trade through a request and those things because he had been with the Wizards for so long, and he never did. And then it gets to the point where it's like, all right, we need to go our separate ways. And he again used his no trade to some extent control that process. But that's the tricky part, right? I keep telling people every day I get sent some increasingly more complicated 5, 6, and 7 team trades. And then, if they work on Spot Track, I can tell you they're very likely they work. Like that's, kind of all I'll say on that front with that. But when people send them to me, I stopped replying because I don't want to be in the business of evaluating fake trades. But I did say to one guy, I said, yeah, this works, except Beal would never, approve to be traded to a team that's that deep in the lottery, and it's that's where this all gets kind of stuck. He also has a young family. That's been reportedly one of the concerns. He doesn't want to continue to move them around like this. So let's see where it all goes. It's so the Heat have kind of a 2-game reprieve here through the weekend without Jimmy Butler, and then we'll see when everybody gets back together at the beginning of next week. We'll be at that point a week and a half from the trade deadline. We're 2 weeks out today, which is crazy. So we'll see if anything's better at that point with Butler.
Keith, the fake trades, they are flying right now. And I have, because I'm a glutton for punishment, I have thrown out a couple of fake trades out there to the Lakers Twitterverse lately. I've thrown a few out there, and I can say this in general for people, and don't send us your fake trades because we're probably not going to respond to them that often. But in general, I think the mark of a good fake trade is the fan base of every team involved doesn't like it. If you can get every fan base involved, if it's a 2-team trade, you want the fan base of both teams to hate it, then it's probably a pretty fair trade that you've made.
Yeah, because obviously I follow you on social media. I've seen a couple of those. All I will say is I appreciate that they're somewhat reasonable. Like you're not like, hey, let me package together these
and that's why people are angry.
Throwing contracts and go get superstar X. And it's like, that's what that one guy in our live show gets so mad about. When people start their own trades out in the chat. And it's that's the funny thing to me. I continue to 100% believe the best policy was the real GM trade transaction board policy of, if you're going to propose a fake trade, you have to put in reasons why each team involved in the trade would do the trade.
Yeah.
And sometimes those reasons are, we can all disagree, right? And sometimes it's, oh, geez, I didn't know they were that high on that young player. I thought maybe, they're ready to move him and those kind of things. But yeah, I still think that's the best policy. And I think anybody who is, when you fire up a trade machine, let's always use the baseline of, just because the trade machine says legal trade approved pass does not mean that it is a good trade. It's just simply a legal trade.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go here. The Kings and the Nets haven't talked Cam Johnson recently. Keith, this is interesting because we've been hearing a lot of, every team is interested in Cam Johnson and all that's been kind of going around. And now we're getting the pushback. And so when we talk about who benefits from a rumor coming out, where in terms of figuring out where it's coming from, I think what's happening now is the teams that have been in conversation with the Nets about Cam Johnson, and we've been hearing about how the Nets, they want 2 first-round picks and how Cam Johnson's great and all that kind of stuff. Now we're starting to hear about teams that are saying, OKC, Cavs, now the Kings, all kind of pushing back, going, they probably want too much. That I think is interesting in this dynamic. Maybe they 2 parties or whatever, maybe more, maybe it's a multi-team deal, but they get closer together as we get closer to the trade deadline, which is coming up February 6th, just a couple weeks away now. But it is interesting when we look at this dynamic with Cam Johnson, that now we're getting some teams kind of saying, no, we're not as interested in him as, the Nets want people to believe.
Yeah, and I think the Nets are saying, hey, we need, 2 picks, and they're kind of putting it out there of, we have to have this. And the Nets have also pulled we don't have to trade him. We're happy to keep
and they
him
don't.
And all that stuff. And they don't. And that is perfectly fair. And these other teams are being like, they're asking a lot. That is also fair. This is where 2 weeks from the trade deadline, the ask is way up here. The offers are down here. In the next week, they'll come closer together, or they won't, in a trade, will or won't happen. But this is how the game is played. It's as soon as every team starts saying, we're not really as interested as people are making it sound with this. And I also think there's probably truth to, we talked it 2 weeks ago. We talked it a month ago. And, at the time, the situation we were in or they were in, it all changes, but it'll all this is when things start to get a little more serious. It'll all get really serious within the next week. It's once you hit trade deadline week itself, 1 week out, that's when you're really in the window of, all right, let's start getting stuff done.
Yeah. So we'll see where this ultimately goes with Cam Johnson. He is still one of the hotter names out there on the market, but again, right now we're seeing that negotiation play out publicly a little bit here. What do you think is fair value for Cam? I mean, the Nets are saying we want 2 firsts, or they probably take a young player in the first or something like that. What is fair value? You think it's 1 first? Would the Nets go down to that? Where do we land with that?
Yeah, I got to come clean to you here. I know we talked about if, calling a Celtics Lakers game would cause our friendship to end. I committed adultery a couple times this week. And did a couple different Orlando Magic pods.
Trust has been broken.
I know. You'll get over it. But so I did those, and I like Cam Johnson for the Magic. Like, he's somebody I actually think they should get involved. And one of the things I've said is the Magic have the ability, because they have all of their own firsts, they could offer one of their own first, as well as the Magic could offer that Denver first or one of their younger players. If the Nets were like, boy, we really like Anthony Black, or we really, think, Cole Anthony's a guy who could thrive here, and we don't mind the extra year of his deal, or we'd love to take a look at Jett Howard and see what that looks like. That's kind of the deal. So a real first, the Denver first that the Magic have it's going to come this year. It's going to be in the 20s. So that's a very late first. I think that's it, or a first and a younger player, that's how you could, offset that. I think that ask is pretty reasonable for the Nets. And I would hold, there for now, and again, they're right. They don't have to trade him. He's not an expiring contract. He's not going to walk away for nothing in the summertime. They've got him under contract for a while.
Yeah. If they want they could trade him next year, right?
Yep.
I mean, they don't have to trade him.
Summer. Yeah, whatever. Yep.
Yeah, they don't have to trade him this year if they don't see the offer that they like. Speaking of the Orlando Magic, good news.
Yeah.
Franz Wagner back soon. This is what we need, Keith. We need less players
Maybe
going
tonight.
out due to injury, more players coming back.
Yep. Yeah, and there could be tonight for Franz Wagner. He's been upgraded to questionable. If not tonight, they play again on Saturday evening. So I would think it'll probably be then if he's not back tonight. But he's really, really close. I think they're kind of taking it as, let's see what it looks like when he warms up tonight and make sure he's good to go. But that was their latest update. Gary Harris, who's been on the shelf for a while, has also been upgraded to questionable. Jalen Suggs has been upgraded to doubtful. He's probably not coming back tonight, but not far away.
That's a good step in the process.
Exactly.
Going up to doubtful. It does. People go, oh, well, who cares? He's not playing.
Yeah.
It does matter. It does matter.
Yep. Yeah. Because if he wakes up from his pregame nap, he's like, my back is great. Like it's all gone. Then, maybe there's a chance he plays tonight. I don't think that'll be the way it goes, but Goga Batadze, this is kind of a ridiculous long list. Goga Batadze's in the concussion protocol. He's doubtful for tonight, but again, maybe this weekend, early next week for him. And then Cole Anthony and Jonathan Isaac are both out with, I think they've got that flu that's been going around and hitting every team. They're both kind of, we'll see, what it looks like. But for the Magic, we're getting there, finally getting closer to let's get these guys back in the lineup. Having Franz back, to help out Paulo will be huge. They still need to add shooting. I mean, I don't know if you've looked or heard this. They are on pace for basically the worst shooting season in the history of the league from three. Like in 2025, they're shooting worse than teams shot when the 3-point shot was first a thing. That's awful. And that's when teams are taking 4 to 5 per game. Like a 3-pointer was oh, break that out every once in a while, but don't take too many. The Magic are just, it's just bad. And the thing that's been rough is even they're good, like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You have a long history with him. Always a pretty good shooter, is having the career worst shooting year that he's ever had. The weird stuff has gone on, with guys here, and guys just cannot make jump shots. It's been wild stuff. So, get guys back, maybe make a deal. We'll see where it goes. They've more or less weathered the storm. They're still within range to fight for a top 4 seed, and that's really where you want to be at right now.
Too much time at Disney World. That's got to be the problem.
Could be.
That's got to be the problem. It's afflicted the Lakers as well with Rob Pelinka. Yeah, it's an issue.
Tonight, it's probably because they're gonna have cold, stiff hands because it's freaking
freezing.
Here. No, I know nobody wants to hear it.
It's your version of freezing.
Yeah, our version of freezing, but it's actually going to be actual potentially freezing overnight tonight, which is not always
the game in New Orleans last night had to get postponed. I mean, how crazy is that in New Orleans because of snow?
Bourbon Street covered in snow. Up in the Panhandle in Florida, they get 5.5 inches of snow. And I get it. Where I'm from in Massachusetts, we'd be like, okay, cool. You drive over and it's gone 2 or 3 days later. When you live in the South, you don't have plows, you don't have shovels, you don't really know how to handle this. So it does really shut these cities down. But there's your weather report from the front office.
It really does. The cities that aren't used to snow don't have all of that equipment sitting on hand, and so it's more you're just kind of waiting for the snow to melt.
Yep.
And that's what you have to do for that to happen. I saw there was something going around. I believe it was either on Instagram or Facebook or something like that. Somebody showed. So what a terrible way to start your cruise vacation. It was the sail away party on a cruise ship, and the entire deck is covered in snow.
Yeah.
Awful.
It's going to be miserable.
Awful.
Get me down into the Caribbean waters as quick as we can go.
Right.
Get out of here. But I even heard it's still it's cold for them down there too. That's when you stay inside, on the ship, and just take part in the inside activities.
I'm 3 weeks and I'm going, come on, weather, come back around.
Almost there. It'll be nice, but
all right, let's go here. The NBA wants an independent league in Europe. What is this? Are they gonna try to rival the league's already existence, EuroLeague and everything else, or what are they gonna do here with the creation of this league? And what's the timeline for this?
Yeah, so those are all really good questions, and thankfully Adam Silver gave pretty good answers. So Adam Silver, he's in Europe, in Paris, to be clear, for the Paris games. The Spurs and Pacers are playing right now as we record, actually. But he was asked, what's the deal with this European league? Is it going to be? And then was asked like follow-ups and as being asked like a bunch. Like he was like, I have like 7 questions in one. Here they all are. Kind of thing. And one of the things that was asked is this an expansion of the NBA? And Adam Silver was very clear and said, it is not. He said, we would love to look at having a team in Europe that is part of the NBA at some point. But then he was very clear, we need supersonic jet travel back because we could not have what we have available for travel right now. It'll simply take too long. Yeah. And that was, basically where he left it with that. But then when he said about this league is it's an independent league, and he used the terminology. Think of it like what the league has done with the Basketball Africa League, where it's a whole separate thing from the NBA. It's run by the NBA. It's part of the greater NBA family, but it is not part of the NBA, the 30-team league we know of here in North America. And he basically said, we're going to look at it as far as timing. He was like, we're taking it slow. We don't want it. He more or less said, we want to be very respectful of the teams, the leagues, the institutions that already exist as we explore what this could look like. But he made it very clear, this is something the league wants to do, and this is probably coming at some point. So my guess is what they would love to have, and this might be like a 20-year process, is you have NBA North America, then you have NBA Europe, maybe NBA Africa. They talk a lot about South America, Latin America. Maybe you have that. And at some point it is each league has their own champion. And at some point we get together. I mean, the NBA would love to put like the World Cup out of business and just not even do it. And there is still like club World Cup competitions that happen and the like. They'd love to knock all those out and then say, hey, we're taking our 4 champions and you're going to go play like a Final Four of, the 4 teams that won. And let's see, where it is. And let's be, said and done. But that's, decades and decades away. So, but that's kind of where he left it. It is coming. And we'll see, where it goes. My guess is they're going to target existing teams to try to jump into this, and probably ones that are pretty established with good followings. If I know the way they probably want to handle it.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the NBA proceeds with this and ultimately what this turns into. Completely unrelated topic here, but I've just seen this. Apparently, Mark Spears said on ESPN programming today that Jimmy Butler's trade wish list is simply to leave Miami as long as he doesn't go to Memphis.
It's so weird.
Like, what the hell, man? What did Memphis ever do to you?
Yeah.
but and also I don't buy it. I don't buy it that his whole goal is just to leave Miami. I think he wants to get to Phoenix because who else is going to pay him?
Washington, then. Like, he doesn't want to go there.
No.
Like, come on, what are we doing? Like, the only thing I can think is the Grizzlies have back channel made it clear we are not extending you. And if we do, it's going to be for some number that he finds unacceptable and maybe even insulting. Because otherwise, that doesn't make sense. Like, they're good.
He'd be great in Memphis.
If you could get him without giving up Jackson, Morant, or Bane, that's probably
you go for it.
I would say that's probably on par with the Thunder as far as contenders in the Western Conference.
They could be really good.
Because he'd fit so good there. Like, they already have the shooting, they already have the defense. He'd be another ball handler, another outlet, just a veteran guy. But that's so weird to me that it's like, I don't know, maybe he doesn't like barbecue, or maybe he hates Elvis.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Like, that's just very odd. Like, very, very odd.
Yeah.
To me that's where that's at. So I don't know. But I mean, I'd call his bluff then. Okay, you want to be traded to the Wizards?
Right.
What are we doing?
Cool. You're willing to go anywhere? Here you go. Hey, let's send you to Portland. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Right. Washington.
Good luck, Portland and Miami making that. It'd be funny if that's the trade they made.
Right.
But I mean, I don't buy he's okay with anywhere like that.
No.
I'm sure there is a list of teams beyond Phoenix but I am sure that list of teams is relatively small.
What would be the biggest like Miami FU to Jimmy?
Washington.
Washington? What about Toronto? Send him out of the country.
Yeah, maybe they send him. He's on the newest team is in this European league.
Oh no! There were betting odds that he could land in China.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's what people tweet all the time. Anytime a player's like, they feel like they're washed, they're like, what is it? They tweet that. Get ready to learn Chinese, buddy.
Yeah.
Meme. That's
Jimmy Butler to Barcelona.
He might like that. I mean,
Jimmy Butler to Panathinaikos.
Yeah, it could be a thing. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's go here. 3/4 of the dunk contest has been confirmed. I'll admit, Keith, I'm spacing on the names off top of my head.
It's Modest Zealous.
That's right. There were some rookies
from the Bulls. Yep. Andre Jackson Jr. from the Bucks. And now I can't remember who the other guy is.
God, it was the first one announced too.
Oh, Stephon Castle.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah. So those are the three. It sounds like the league is holding the fourth spot for two-time defending champion Mac McClung, who is playing in the G League for the team here in Osceola now, Osceola County, which is basically right next to the Orange County where the Magic play in Orlando. Sounds like that's who the league is holding that fourth spot for. He told Jason Beatty, who covers the Magic for the Orlando Sentinel, he told Jason he's not sure he wants to do it because he's very focused on helping the Osceola team. They got off to a really rough start, starting to play good. He's very focused on trying to get them established and playing better, but we'll see. So that is my kind of guess is the league would love it to be Mac McClung. It probably will be in the end. If that's what they want, they'll probably, make it worth his while to do it. But yeah, just interesting that we're 3/4 of the way there. Did you see that thing, Reggie Miller, the other night? I tweeted about it. They were, I can't remember what game it was. The game had turned into a blowout on TNT. So they were just like talking about it was the Celtics Warriors game on MLK Day.
Oh, yeah.
It was 40-point blowout. Reggie Miller's like, well, it sounds like, we're going to have fun at the All-Star weekend because we're going to have Sabrina Ionescu and Caitlin Clark against Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in the shootout. And, it was like, whoa, wait, what? Is this and I know people, because people were like, I think we all knew that's what the league want. Yeah, but there's a difference between kind of our wish casting of oh, that'd be amazing if, this happened.
Versus it's happening.
Yeah, someone saying this is the thing. And then a couple people replied to the tweet and said, yeah, I think Clay's kind of poured cold water on it of he doesn't really want to do it. He doesn't feel it's appropriate right now because he just left and all that stuff. But I mean, I'm all for it. It'd be fun. That was my favorite part of the All-Star weekend last year was the Steph.
It's definitely not the game.
Yeah, no.
I wonder if that was just Reggie heard they would like to do that and took it as though it's happening or something, but could be, telephone game or whatever. But
it was very funny though, because then they talked about it. I don't remember who was calling the game. It was like, oh, really? You think that's the way it's going to go? Everything got a little quiet. And they're like, so the Warriors have been involved in a lot of trade rumors. I wonder if they got the call of shut up.
Stop.
Talk about that. Talk about trade rumors instead. Because they certainly weren't talking about the game at that point.
No, they're hosting a podcast at that point, right? Because the game,
that's exactly
it's done.
Yep. Did you? I don't know. I mean, I know you were paying some attention because Celtics are on a back-to-back with the Lakers tonight.
Yeah,
Clippers almost got them.
I saw
last night playing basically you, me, and a whole bunch of other guys. And that's being a little too cavalier about the way the guys they played. But those guys played really, really hard. Boston almost blew it again, much like they did to the Hawks the other night. But out of nowhere, Jaden Springer gets minutes because Joe Mazzulla was like, I got to slow down Kevin Porter Jr. Came up with 4 steals in a 10-minute period. All of them were on-ball steals. If anybody follows me on either Twitter or Blue Sky, I tweeted out the clip of 3 of the steals where he just took it away from defenders. Then he had a clutch 3 in overtime that really kind of put the game away. Like just, end of the bench guy out of nowhere, played huge for the Celtics. And yes, they sat guys because the Clippers sat. I think the minute the Clippers are like, yeah, we're not playing any of our top 6 guys in the rotation, I think the Celtics are like, great, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, and Drew Holiday. That basically was almost like a DNP hold for them. So it was
Right.
like, and I would imagine they'll probably all suit up
Mhm.
tonight. We'll see. Jaylen Brown's a little questionable. He banged knees and then he hurt his ankle. We won't get the real injury report for a while yet because it's a back-to-back. For them, they don't have to put it out for a while yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, a lot of Lakers fans are saying, and I fueled the fire a little bit on X, but a lot of Lakers fans are saying, like, of course, of course they're doing that. And the Clippers, all the guys they rested, of course, played extremely well against the Lakers the other night. But at the same time, like, if the Celtics were going to not play guys on a back-to-back, the NBA would have lost their minds if they had sat them against the Lakers. Like they would have gotten in so much trouble for sitting there. So they couldn't sit them again. Like if they were going to sit there, it wasn't just, this is because of the Lakers or whatever. Like it's a national TV game. Adam Silver would have gone ballistic if they had sat their guys for tonight's game. I mean, I think that's fair to say.
And honestly, again, once Clippers announced their regular, it was basically their like top 6 rotation guys weren't playing. Well, then it just makes sense. Like put it all into the Lakers game. Like we'd rather, we're going to need those guys for that one. So, they fortunately ended up correct. They didn't really need them to beat the Clippers, even though it took overtime. And I was very, very upset when it was like almost 1:30 in the morning that the game was ending.
The game went into OT.
Yeah,
I figured you weren't happy.
Yeah, I was like, you got to be kidding me. But it was,
I couldn't believe there's still a game. I go, what time is it? This game's still on? I'd finished recording the Lakers Nation podcast, and I'm like, how is there still a game? Oh, it went to OT? Good Lord.
Yeah, and this was one of those ones where both Rockets Cavs last night and Clippers Celtics was one of those ones where like the final minute took like 10 actual minutes to be played because there was reviews, there was all kinds of stuff. And that's again, that's something the NBA needs to figure out. Like like that just turns off casual fans. They don't like that stuff. People get really mad. So it's, but Rockets Cavs was hard because they were like coaches challenges. And I will say, give the referees credit. They were fairly quick reviews. Like they were probably 45 seconds to a minute that they took to review them and then get out of there. But it's still, you slow it down, you get a stop. What are we reviewing? All right, let's review it. What is the outcome? And all that stuff. And,
the funny thing is with that, like, and I agree, I think they have to do something about how long the reviews are, how much play stops and all of that. And we saw it in Major League Baseball too, right? As far as the pitch clock, they're trying to keep the game moving, trying to keep attention, right? Attention spans are dwindling. There's no question, right? And we're at the 33-minute mark of the show right now. If you're still here watching, well, we appreciate you. But when you look at the NFL, which is like the ratings king, it's 5 seconds of play, 4 seconds of play, something, and then 40 seconds plus stopped. And then again, 5 seconds, you know what I mean? It's a lot. And when you actually add up the time that the ball is actually in play over the course of an NFL game, it's like nothing. It's
like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's hardly anything compared to how much stop. And yet the NFL, I think it's just kind of, we're wired that way where, okay, if we get a little bit of gameplay and then we can check our stats or look at our phone or whatever, then okay, and the ball's back in play again, we can go back and forth like that. Whereas a long period of 10 minutes or whatever, it's that attention span thing again, where if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes of stoppage, it's okay, we're done, we're over this, even though in total, the ball's in play a lot more in an NBA game than in a 2.5, 3 hour NFL game.
Yeah, 100%. I think, I've long said baseball is kind of the perfect background sport because you'll hear the roar of the crowd and you just look up and what was the end result of that? Right. I think soccer is the hardest one where you got to kind of stay dialed in because it just plays. Like there's no stoppages. Things don't stop and break down. So those are things where you have that. And then I think basketball is more continuous action minus the timeouts, obviously. And then, football is built. Like part of the reason I think fantasy football is so huge is you can watch a game, flip to the next channel and watch a game, flip to the next channel and see what's going on there and come back all the way around. And now your play's back in play, for it. It's also just perfect because it's one game per week and all the stuff that goes along with that. Like, I think about my dad. You know, he is like he I mean, he's got nothing but he's retired, so he could spend all the time in the world watching all the sports, but he likes the NFL because he's like, I pick up the paper Sunday morning, see who's maybe out, and then I watch the game, and then I tune out again until later in the week, and then I check back in again, on it. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, the NFL has done a good job making themselves very much a made for TV product.
Yes, appointment viewing and all of that certainly matters with the NFL, and obviously it's extremely popular. But yeah, the amount of time that the ball is actually in play is minimal. But there's also a reason why like red zone works for the NFL.
Oh yeah,
it's much more difficult with the NBA trying to watch. You know, they've got the Octo Box. If you watch red zone, you know what I'm talking about. And you've got 8 games, and you can like actually keep up with it.
Yep.
But with the NBA, it's a bit more difficult to do.
Yeah, and I do like that. People get I every year I usually send a couple pictures out on social media because DirecTV is the game mix.
Yeah,
where you can watch up to 8 games at once if there's 8 available at one time. It's usually more in the range of like 4 to 6, and I'll throw that on, and then I'll just kind of hop around because they also have a feature where you could change the audio from game to game, and I'll just kind of bounce around that if I'm like, especially at like 7 or 7:30 when everything's getting started, and then it's like, oh, this game's close in the fourth quarter. I'll watch the end of that game. But yeah, and it's every single time people are like, it's too much. Like even just this still picture of it, like already my brain hurts watching it. And that's exactly how I feel with Red Zone. When I put Red Zone on, I'm like, it's just, I'm overstimulated and I feel old. Like I'm like, I can't keep up with this anymore. I'm sure I'd feel differently if I still played fantasy football and all that stuff. I'm sure I'd be way more into it, but yeah, it's my thing is too, what's cool is consume it kind of how you want. As long as you're consuming it, that's great. That's why, right? We say we love it if you watch and listen and subscribe and like here on YouTube, but we're okay if you just listen to the podcast version too. As long as you're consuming the front office show, that's all that matters.
That's what matters. All right, everybody. We appreciate all of you for joining, and hopefully you come hang out with us tonight for Lakers versus Celtics. Till then, see ya and stay safe.